It's really wonderful to see all of you out there. Some people I haven't seen for quite a while. Welcome, welcome. So I'd like to start this off by welcoming Chancellor Birgeneau, Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost George Breslauer, BSP students, alumni, friends, family, and also university colleagues. Welcome. Wonderful day to honor two incredible administrators who have given such support to the Biology Scholars Program. Caroline Kane, who's seated in the front row here, and I started BSP about 20 years ago. And we were looking for untapped scientific talent that oftentimes goes overlooked because the metrics of success, or for the potential for success, the standard metrics don't always tell the full story. And our goal was to develop that talent. And a number of you who have gone on to do incredible things, those of you who are still students here, are testimony to the fact that our investment of funds and time and so on was a good investment. Now, this investment is not just in the individuals and their families, but also for science and society as well. We make a difference. We make a difference. And to this day, we have not used SAT scores or high school GPAs as filters to select our members, but we look for other things. And those other things we think of as good indicators for future success. And in addition to that, beyond the success, the standard metrics of success, we also look for future leaders. And those metrics are as follows: distance that individuals have traveled to get here. Some of your stories are just amazing, and you're going to hear a couple of those stories today from a current student and also a BSP alumna. Passion for science. There's great passion in this room for science. Also, commitment to service, a very important quality, a very important criterion for being selected for the Biology Scholars Program. Now, BSP is based on a fundamental belief that I believe that the three of us, Bob, George, and myself, share. And that belief is in terms of who does science does make a difference. Who's at the bench? Who's in the field? Who's in academia? Who's in public office? Who's in the courtroom? Who's in industry? That makes a difference. Our backgrounds matter in terms of how we use our talents, our aptitudes, our passion. Our backgrounds matter in terms of the research we choose to do, how we will interpret our data and share our data and with whom, and also how we'll apply our findings to make which products, laws, and policies. Backgrounds matter. So we believe that providing access that allows us not to waste talent is really a good investment. In fact, if we were to use SAT scores and high school GPAs, we would have a very different population in BSP. And this is the talent that our nation and our state really sorely needs. The talent is here, right here. Also, Bob and George, you've understood that your support for BSP students is an investment, a long-term investment in terms of reducing health disparities, and also fostering the economic well-being and security of our nation and state, a very important investment. And so we are here today to honor you, to thank you for your support for all you've done for the Biology Scholars Program. Now, as I look out, it's wonderful to see the sea of BSP t-shirts. I see both current students as well as BSP alumni. And shortly, two members of the Biology Scholars Program, two members of the BSP family, will be joining us on stage to share what BSP has meant to them and also what BSP has helped make possible for them. And these two individuals are Adan Garcia-Mecinas, a current undergraduate, as well as Dr. Amanda Perez, who's a BSP alumna and also a practicing physician. And so let's begin. Let's begin with our first speaker, Steve Martin, Dean of Biological Sciences in the College of Letters and Science. Dean Martin.
Okay. I always know when I have to say something. If I'm wearing a jacket and tie, it means that I have to say something. Anyway, thank you, John. So we're here today to celebrate the success of the Biology Scholars Program and also to thank Chancellor Birgeneau and EVCP Breslauer for their continued and active support of the Biology Scholars Program. So the Chancellor has always emphasized that Cal is a public research university and that we're not only about excellence, we're also about access. We often think about access as meaning that our doors are open to everyone, and we cite as evidence for that the fact that many of our students are supported by Pell Grants, or they may be the first in their family to go to college, or that they're from historically underrepresented groups. But access is not just about admission. Access means that we support students once they're admitted. And as evidence for that, we cite our 90% graduation rate and the fact that Berkeley students accumulate relatively low debt. And a significant part of that success, the success of our students, comes from support programs like the Biology Scholars Program. The BSP, as I think all of you know, supports student success in a number of different ways, through mentoring, through advising, through study groups, internships, research opportunities, involvement in the community, service opportunities, and so on. And it's an enormously popular program. And I think it's really notable that 80% of BSP students come from either they're the first generation to come to college, or they're from low-income families. 60% of BSP students are from underrepresented minorities, and yet they graduate at the same rate and with the same GPAs as anyone else. And I think a lot of that success is attributable to the support you all receive from the Biology Scholars Program. So this program represents the core of our efforts to maintain diversity in our student population, and it serves as a model for many of the other support programs on campus. And other programs, I think, have emulated BSP in the way they've been formed and the way they serve our students. So I think many of you may not be aware of this, but the Biology Scholars Program was supported for a number of years by the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. That funding lapsed a couple of years ago, and I went with cup in hand to EVC Breslauer, shaking my cup, and he stepped forward immediately, wrote a very large check to keep the program going, and I'd like to express my gratitude and the gratitude of all of the BSP students for your support, George. Okay, so what I'd like to do then is just to reiterate my thanks to the Chancellor and the Provost for their support for BSP in years past, and to restate my own commitment and the campus's commitment to maintaining and strengthening this program in the years to come. Thank you.
So I had a challenge in terms of selecting a current student to present today. You know, so many fine students, such a hard choice to make. I wanted to select somebody who could talk about their experience here at Berkeley and sort of how BSP fit into their trajectory, their experience. So many wonderful members, so many different life stories. Now, my choice for today, Adan Garcia-Mecinas, is an exemplary BSP member. He's committed to both excellence, but also service. Adan is a fourth-year student. He came to Berkeley in 2009. He was a graduate of Oakmont High School in Roseville, California, where he was salutatorian. I have a hard time with that word. Salutatorian. Is that right, Adan? Okay. Thank you. Adan is a Gates Millennium Scholar, and he's joined here today by his family and also his high school counselor, which is just so wonderful. So Adan is here today to tell a story, what BSP means to him, and to personally thank Provost Breslauer. Adan, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm honored to be here today, and I'm really excited to see everyone here, all my family members here, extended family members, BSP. And I would first like to thank the Biology Scholars Program for selecting me to speak on behalf of the BSP family. The BSP family is here today to thank Chancellor Birgeneau and Provost George Breslauer for their support towards the BSP program. So who am I? My name is Adan Garcia-Mecinas, and I was born to two wonderful Mexican parents who both came from Oaxaca, Mexico. And I also have a little sister who's 9 years old, and I love her to death. And I'm honored to have them here today, along with my uncle and my high school counselor, Ms. Jean Crowder. And the people that are here today have made me a better person, and I'm here today because of their love and continual support, and I just thank you for that. So what does BSP mean to me? BSP is more than a program. It provided me a space to find where I belong here on the Cal campus. It turned this big Cal campus into a family and friends I can trust and go to them whenever I need help, especially with biochemistry. As you all just heard, I'm not a traditional science student. Even though I'm passionate about medicine, I'm an ethnic studies major. And that did not happen since freshman year. I have a unique story where my first 2 years here at Cal were with actually the chemical biology major. And it was really difficult and it challenged me. And this is where I realized that my high school did not prepare me for the rigor and high expectations that the science professors required. The second year was my most challenging year because that's when my grandfather passed away and I called him Tata. I told my friends about it and I feel like they didn't really understand me. And he was the man who helped raise me, and he was one of my inspirations for getting into medicine. And that same sophomore year, the Gates Millennium Scholars Program accepted me to attend their alternative spring break program in the Bay Area. And this program is where I met awesome BSPers for the first time. And my encounter with them convinced me that I really needed to be in this program. I built up the courage to go to the BSP office, and they accepted me with open arms. And even though I wasn't in the program yet, I still felt alone, but I had people, alumni and students that were helping me out. When I went to a BSP alum who helped me and recommended me to the program, everything changed. So BSP alumni and students were already helping me before I was even accepted to the program, and I really appreciate it, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. The people that BSP selects have a heart of gold and try to help their peers in times of need. This sense of community in my academic career was missing, and BSP filled that void. And after the loss of my tata, I reflected on my past experiences, and it was difficult for me to let the chemical biology major go. But the ethnic studies major perfectly fit in with what I wanted to do and learn. Ethnic studies helps me see how policy affects people's lives and can discriminate against people of color. This major lets me think critically about the world and how I can change it through the lens of health. When I was finally accepted into the BSP program, I met my group of friends, my family, my study buddies, and my peers. I study, do extracurricular activities, and take classes with these friends that I've made in BSP. Since joining BSP, I got my confidence back. I now feel supported by peers, alumni, and advisors who see my potential even when I've doubted myself. As a member of BSP, I found my voice again, connecting me to other student organizations like the Chicano Latino in health education, and inspiring me to co-found student organizations that tutor the janitorial staff here on the Cal campus. Provost Breslauer, I thank you for supporting BSP. Supporting BSP meant that I was able to hold on to my dreams to become a doctor. BSP is where students empower one another, where leaders are developed, and where passion can turn into success. As individuals, we may not have it all together, but together we do have it all. This is what BSP means to me. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Adan. Hard act to follow. Hard act to follow. So, George, a few years back, we had lunch together. And I don't know if you remember this lunch, but I remember it well. We had known each other professionally, but that was my first opportunity to get to know something about you personally, and we shared things. You know, as we ate and talked, at one point I asked, when you're not being provost, what do you like to do? And that question led to a conversation about sports. And you told me that you loved baseball. Now, back in the day, I played second base. And I learned that you played catcher, a position that I would never, ever play. So I'm a baseball fan, and even though I wouldn't play the position, I had a lot of respect for catchers. Now, that's a very interesting position. It looks pretty simple, right? All you need to do is catch the pitches, throw out runners, and occasionally block the plate. Okay? Really simple, really straightforward, but you know differently. You know that it's not quite that simple. In fact, in reality, the catcher anchors the team. And a good catcher knows the game inside and out, backwards and forwards. He knows all of the players, their strengths, their weaknesses, including most especially that or those of the pitcher. But you also know the opposing team as well. You know, you study, you scout. And you also know about umpires, where the strike zone is. You also know whether they give you the corners or not. You also know that. Good catchers like Kurt Suzuki or Buster Posey, they're always thinking many plays down the road, not just about what's happening right now. The bottom line is that the entire team depends on the catcher to make the right decisions, decisions that will affect the outcome of the game. Catchers have a tough position. They must be mentally and physically sound. It's the most dangerous position on the field. And I remember asking you this question, George. I said, why did you choose to play that position? And here's what you said. As catcher, you can see the whole field. You remember that? Okay. Now that sounds like perfect training to be provost. George, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. And I told you that not to make me cry earlier, okay? So I'm going to try to keep myself from doing that right now. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank you for all the ways you've been the catcher for BSP. At critical junctures, on more than one occasion, and we know those occasions, you recognize the importance of BSP to Berkeley and to the surrounding communities. You've repeatedly made the decision to support me, my work, and the students at BSP. But there's one more thing that I didn't know at lunch, and I learned this since. I recently learned that you're left-handed. I didn't know that. Left-handed catchers are the rarest of the rare. And looking back over the tenure, your tenure here at Cal, you've been one of the finest to play the provost position. You are one of the rarest of the rare. And so on behalf of BSP, I would like to present you with a gift to symbolize our respect and our gratitude for your commitment to and support of BSP. And assisting with the gift is Carla Galvez Castillo, who's also a BSP alumna. George, would you please come to the stage?
You expect me to talk? Thank you so much. I will treasure this. I have to tell you, though, I didn't catch left-handed. Because when I was a kid, I was told you can't be a left-handed catcher. Okay. And I said, if I can't be a catcher, I don't want to play. So I taught myself to throw right-handed. I didn't end up with a rocket arm to second base, but I could still throw right-handed and catch that way. Wow, I had no idea. I had no idea you were going to do this to me. I thought it was a sweet idea that you were going to honor the Chancellor and me, but I didn't know you were going to celebrate us, and it's really humbling. I've never done anything for the glory, and so I'm uncomfortable being celebrated. When the Chancellor and I walk across campus together, everybody waves, "Hello, Chancellor," and and they're probably thinking, who's that short guy next to him? That suits me just fine. It was many years ago that I first became aware of BSP and what you were doing. And then I looked at the stats that you revealed to me, and I saw the impact that you were having. And it was really quite astounding in terms of the impact on students' grade point average, graduation rate, career trajectories. And it made me realize that you had something really special here, that you were doing something that created a social structure and a pedagogical structure within which potential could be revealed. I mean, there's a lot of potential out there that never gets revealed. And out there, I mean in the broader society. And it needs to be revealed. There are very few people who are naturals, who at the age of 17 have already had all of their potential demonstrated, and they go on to great, great things. There are very few people like that. We all need social support. We all need extra encouragement. And you just had created something here that was quite magical. And you were able, and what I was so proud of was that nobody could say, yeah, well, of course, but what impact are they having? You had the data to demonstrate that you were having a major impact on the lives of many people, and derivatively, the life of society, which would benefit from those people whose potential had been revealed here at Berkeley and then went on to great things. I recall, since we're recollecting things, I recall your speech at the Distinguished Teaching Awards ceremony when the Biology Scholars Program won the collective award for distinguished teaching. And your speech was filled with passion, a little bit of suppressed anger.
Thank you very much, George.
We're not revealing anything about each other here today. And it was just admirable, the way you expressed what this program means and what it tried to do and what it has accomplished. And for those who didn't want to pay attention, you basically said, go stuff it. And then there was recently a talk here by Claude Steele, of Stanford University, who wrote that book, Whistling Vivaldi, which is really quite pertinent because in his studies and his research in psychology, he demonstrated the impact of self-image on performance, and then he looked at where that self-image comes from. And it makes you realize that just a little bit of encouragement and belief in people has a major impact on your ability to reveal their potential. And no matter how much formal instruction you do, even within the Biology Scholars Program, if a person is left to believe that they're not going to be able to hack it, they probably won't hack it, even if they could have, if they'd believed otherwise about their abilities. And so that book by Claude Steele, that speech here by Claude Steele was really so pertinent, and it was very recent, so pertinent to the mission of the Biology Scholars Program and to its phenomenal success. So when I was asked to support the program as provost, it was an easy call. In fact, I would go farther. I would say it was deeply gratifying because it feels so good to support quality that will have such an impact, both locally and more broadly. So all I can say is thank you for asking me for that support, because without your asking me, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to feel those gratifying feelings. And John, one final thing from our lunch. I was struck, because I pick up on body language, when I mentioned and we started talking about what a really good catcher Kurt Suzuki was.
Yes.
Your body language went straight with pride. Thank you so much.
So our next speaker is a BSP alumna, Amanda Perez. And she will help me honor and thank Chancellor Birgeneau. Dr. Perez grew up in Hayward, California. Yes. Amanda, you've suppressed your enthusiasm for Hayward. Yes. Oh, okay. Amanda is a Hayward High School graduate. She came to Cal in 1996 and joined BSP. And I remember that initial conversation we had about the program and about your path and all those sorts of things. She graduated in 2001 with an MCB major and then went on to Charles Drew Medical School, the UCLA Geffen School of Medicine, Charles Drew combined program. And after receiving her MD there, she did her emergency medicine residency at Stony Brook University on Long Island. In 2008, she became an emergency medicine physician at Kaiser, Manteca, and Modesto. And since 2010, she's been the chief of emergency medicine department there. Since when? Assistant chief. I just gave you a promotion, Amanda.
I'll take the money that goes with it.
Okay. So I'd like to invite Amanda, Dr. Perez, up right now to say a few words. Amanda.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you. It is quite a privilege and pleasure to be back on the UC Berkeley campus, and of course here today to thank Chancellor Birgeneau and Provost Breslauer for their support of this world-changing program, the Biology Scholars Program. For each life, excuse me, I'm choked up. For each life that BSP has touched, it has had a butterfly effect in changing the world's culture of medicine, healthcare, law, and policy. BSP is a program that can take someone like me, the first person in their family to graduate from high school, who grew up witnessing the many medical disparities plaguing lower socioeconomic communities, and arm them with the tools to not only succeed at a prestigious university, UC Berkeley, but also help me achieve my ultimate dream of becoming a frontline physician, fighting the daily battles that inhibit people from receiving the quality of care that they deserve, regardless of their background, access, or even their beliefs in medicine. Today, as an ER physician, I aim to give back to my community and serve as a bridge between my patients, their families, and medicine that they often do not understand. I serve not only as a friend that they can trust and educate them, but also through changing policy in my hospital and the Kaiser system as the assistant chief of our ER department. In the spirit of BSP each day, I also aim to give back to underprivileged students and show them that happy endings and miracles do not only occur in movies. I have been motivated and have a self-funded scholarship that is for first-generation college students. Words can never express the gratitude that I feel in my heart towards supporters like yourself. And I just want you to know that you have given a chance to not only me, my family, BSP, but the world. And I thank you very much.
So Bob, as you know, a majority of our students in BSP come from first-generation low-income backgrounds. About 60% of our students come from underrepresented ethnic groups. And as I planned this event with BSP members, because that's BSP style, we talked to the students, we listened to the students, I shared with them your background, and many of them were surprised that you were the first in your family to graduate, to go to college and graduate. As a distinguished physicist, as chancellor, as a national leader in higher education, you didn't fit the profile of a first-generation college goer. You're an inspiration. I also shared with them your background, and many people were surprised that your family, the Birgeneaus, are Métis people. That is to say, half French Canadian and also half First Nations, Indigenous people of Canada. Again, not fitting the profile. As our leader, you've never lost sight of your own challenges, the distance you've traveled. As you've acted to make Berkeley more accessible to all students, and I underline all students, irrespective of their backgrounds, you've never forgotten the path that you've taken. You've made equity and inclusion a high priority. Bob, in so many ways, and you've seen the gift. Don't do that. That, you peaked. Okay. You're supposed to be listening to me.
Sorry, Native people have perfect eyes.
I see. That's okay. So Bob, in so many ways, you represent the dreams, hopes, and also goals of students in BSP. And you've also supported them through your unwavering backing. And it's for this reason that we come together today to honor you and to personally say thank you. And so if we can have the gift, please, the surprise gift. So, Bob, before you get up, let me just say a few words so that how many times do you have the chance to tell the Chancellor to please be seated? So in this spirit, BSP would like to present to you this honoring blanket. We chose this motif, the feather motif, because it symbolizes sort of our feelings about you. Now, feathers symbolize many different things depending upon the particular tribe. But to be given a feather, especially an eagle feather, is the highest honor. It is a sign of gratitude and respect. The eagle feather represents honesty, great strength, courage, wisdom, and leadership, usually worn by the chief. A person receiving an eagle feather has accomplished, has achieved something great for their tribe, having done a brave and courageous deed. As our chief, it is fitting to present you with a gift bearing the symbol of the feather. It expresses our respect and our gratitude to your unwavering courage and commitment to fight for marginalized groups. The circle in the center of the honoring blanket is similar to the center line of the eagle feather. It represents our center, who we are, where we come from. It reminds us that to be a great leader, we should never forget who we are, our background and our core values. And that when we act from this place, we benefit not only ourselves, but our families, our communities, and also our society. Chancellor Birgeneau, would you please come up and join us?
Short time like you, gee, totally amazing. John told you a little bit about my background. Maybe I'll add in a couple more details and a couple lessons I learned, which might even be helpful to some of the students out there. So like Amanda, as you heard, I was the first person in my family to finish high school, not to go to college, but actually the first to finish high school. So no one had ever finished high school before. As John said, on my father's side, we're members of the Métis Nation. And of underrepresented minority groups, the Métis Nation Métis males fall well below African Americans and Chicano Latinos in educational achievement. It's the lowest achieving group. So there are, in North America, 5,000 Métis males who manage to finish college. And so, therefore, may not surprise you that when I was at the end of finishing grade school, by then, my older brother and sister had already dropped out of school at age 15 and a half, because in our culture, 15 and a half was when you could first work legally, and therefore 15 and a half was when your education ended. And so I already was in a situation where I was nominally going to follow the track of our family and our culture. And fortunately, in everyone's life, if you're lucky, and it is luck, actually. I'd like to say I earned it, but I didn't. It was luck that I had a John Matsui. Actually, I had several John Matsuis along the way. And I cannot tell you how important the John Matsuis in this world are. And there are not that many of them, actually. So when you encounter a John Matsui, you appreciate them. So I had 3 John Matsuis along the way. So I was really lucky, triple. And so the first one was a Catholic priest who knew my mother, knew my older brother and sister. There were all kinds of problems connected with them. They had dropped out. And he knew me well enough. So he called my mother into the church. And he basically said, your third kid can't follow the same track as the previous 2. So he paid for me to be bused out to a suburban Catholic boys' high school. Okay, and otherwise I would have gone to the same local schools, and you know, instead of having the life I have had and continued to have, ending up as Chancellor of Berkeley, I would have followed the same track as a dropout. This was not a completely trivial process, I have to say. So I was bused out to this suburban boys' high school, and in this high school, which ended up being very supportive, but when I turned up there, it turns out students were tracked. And so there were 7 classes altogether for the 9th grade. There was, and of course teenagers are very cruel. So there was the brain class, then there were 5 average classes, and then there was a class which was literally called the dumb class. And so the school put me in the dumb class, because I must have been dumb because of the neighborhood I came from and the background that I had. So they just assumed that I would be low IQ. They should have measured it, actually. They would have found out I wasn't so low. Anyway, I ended up graduating as the top student in this high school. So, and in the end, actually, the teachers were very kind to me, and it was they who vectored me towards university. And at some level, and Amanda, you may have found this in your own life as well, that was actually the hard part. It's really after that it got a lot easier. So the initial challenge of just getting over the first threshold and then making my way into university. Fortunately, at age 17, I met this extraordinary young woman who's still sitting here. Who I fell in love with immediately at already 17 years of age, and she also, among other things, she's rock solid and gave me the emotional stability that I needed in order to continue on. I was going to say there are a couple of lessons in my life, and then I want to get back to the BSP. One was, I was amused, George, when you commented about a certain edge to John in his anger. And it's true, because I picked it up sort of within 5 minutes after I first met him. Well, people, you know, you can't be a chancellor or provost if you don't have that talent, right? So it was about I was in my middle 20s when I had the same anger, but actually much more pronounced than yours, because society's unjust, right? Of people in my neighborhood, in my grade school class of about 30, I was the one who was bussed out. only one of us finished high school. The other 29 all dropped out because it was a really impoverished neighborhood. That's unjust. I mean, it's not right. And that's what I meant by saying I was lucky that I was the one that, the Catholic priest picked out and paid my tuition at this Catholic boys, private boys' school. And so, I'd remembered still then enough of how I'd grown up and who my friends were to be angry that they were in their situation. So, but what I realized, and it took me till my middle-20s, is the only person the anger was hurting was me. Because people I was angry at, they didn't give a damn. They really didn't care, right? My anger wasn't limiting them, it was only limiting me. So just a message to everyone, if you're angry, you come from a difficult background, the anger is justified, but it's not productive, so get over it because it will not do you any good. You have to get past your anger. The second thing that I realized was, and this was by the time I was actually actively doing research, and my research career was going quite well at that stage, was that having gotten to that point where I was in an environment where I could do really, fundamental basic research, I was suddenly advantaged, right? So I'd always sort of thought of myself as being extremely disadvantaged, and then I suddenly realized I got to get over that too, because not only did I have a PhD from Yale, I had a privileged job doing research, but I had overcome things that no one around me, because almost all my fellow researchers were people with much more privileged backgrounds, and so I could overcome things, including I could overcome failure, right? That actually advantaged me and has advantaged me my entire career. So you may start out disadvantaged, but once you've got to a certain point, actually you're then advantaged after that. And so both of those, which I didn't realize till I was in my middle 20s, turned out to be, for people with difficult backgrounds, actually at a certain stage, you're ahead. And with luck, you'll stay ahead for the rest of your careers. So it's not surprising with this kind of personal background that I would revere the Biology Scholars Program. There's a phenomenal range of talent. In my neighborhood, by the way, only 2 of us made it out. I went to the parochial school. One of my friends I used to play baseball with went to the local public school. We had a lot of sports competition because Catholics always had to prove that they were superior to Protestants in the sports. This was a critical part of our culture. So I'd played a lot of sports, and we always won, including baseball, but mostly handball, one-wall handball, for those of you who grew up in the inner city. Then you know about one-wall handball, right? And one other kid made it out, and he got a PhD from Harvard, right? So in order to make it out of this inner city neighborhood, you had to be lucky, and if you didn't have a talent level to get a PhD from Yale or from Harvard, you didn't finish high school. This is literally true, and this is what injustice is in society, actually, right? And these are the barriers we haven't broken completely. Mary Kath and I fund, like you, a scholarship for kids from our neighborhood in university. There are no scholarship takers. Every year they have to give the scholarship to someone else from a neighboring parish. All these years later, right? So unfortunately, this persists because one kid makes it out doesn't mean that it automatically everyone else is going to. So I actually wrote recently to the person who now has the job as the parish priest in the parish, and I said, you got to do something about this. Here's a very generous scholarship. It's extremely well funded actually, but so what are you doing? This needs to be perpetuated. So anyway, the extraordinary thing here is it's not 1 out of 30 who's graduating. Virtually all of you graduate, right? And a thing I really take pride in here at Cal, and it's because of Carolyn and Gabor Basri, Vice Chancellor for Equity and Inclusion, and all the faculty sitting here and the families, right? That we have an extraordinary success ratio here. And so once you've gotten here into Cal, right, through these programs, it's very high probability that you will graduate. And as I've just said, with a little bit of autobiography, that I hope there's at least 2 or maybe 3 successors to me as Chancellor at Berkeley, standing out there with the shirts on. That would be wonderful. And for those of you who fail, you can become president of Stanford. It's not so bad.
room? More applause, please. Why doesn't everybody stay up here for a second? I just want to do a close. We have something a little special. Okay. So to conclude and moving forward, as BSP moves into its next 20 years, I look forward very much to our future Adans and Amandas. And I also look forward to new and continuing relationships with you, Bob, as you go back to the lab and also to the classroom. But also, don't forget us. Keep in mind that BSP is always on the lookout for good physics tutors. And with you, George, we discussed over lunch many years ago the fact that we needed to take in a baseball game together. So I'll leave it up to you, whether it's the A's or the Giants. And Steve?
How about the Bears?
Oh, here we go. Yeah. We do have a team, don't we? Yes. And with you, Steve, I look forward to working with you to keep BSP strong and going into the future. And before we adjourn, we've planned one last expression of gratitude from the students, alumni, and staff of BSP. So if you can express the gratitude now.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming, and now let's have some refreshments. Thank you.